it's important that finance, or it's important that consultants understand the end-to-end journey of an implementation exercise, especially in SAP, right? Because SAP is a combination of all other factors, and we have learned about the methodology, the Activate methodology. We have understood the basic steps. Now is to really put into practice some of these things. But before, just to give you again a refresher, that before you configure the system, there is a process that has happened from, if you look at the Activate methodology, from the discovery phase to the planning phase or to the prepare phase, to the what's this other phase before the realize now? Somebody help me, guys. Um, I'm always forgetting this phase. Just let me
Did
see.
explore,
Yes. There's prepare,
deploy,
there's plan, there's just
explore, deploy, run.
it's not deploy run, it's just after planning. There is a phase. Um
It's
yeah,
explore.
explore.
It's explore.
Explore.
Mm.
I'm always forgetting explore.
Mm.
So if you look at the Activate methodology, through the discovery phase, we have said that that's where we do most of the discovery assessments, readiness checks, making sure that the business is ready for. Let me just, so that as we're configuring, you will see how this all aligns, because we're going into the system now. Probably spend all the other time we have. Okay, so in the Activate, which is what we are looking. We said there's a discovery phase where where we make sure that the client is ready for SAP. So there is discovery assessments. There are a lot of other tools we use. There is readiness check. It's just to ensure that the business is ready for the transformation they're about to experience. And of course, SAP would also check that they have the not just experience, but tools and servers and databases they need to run. After the discovery phase, we start with prepare. And this is a very big opportunity to get it right. So in the prepare phase, we have said that, you look at basically all the setups, um, look at all your project planning, your plan requirement gathering, plan security, plan testing, plan training, plan basically everything that will happen for us to deliver this project. That's basically, I don't want to go into the details. Refer to the videos, you will probably see the details of this class. So once you have planned and you have a project plan, for example, and you have identified all the business users, the key users, the consultants, the implementation partners, and everybody is ready, we move to the explore phase. And in explore, that's where there's a lot of input from the BA, because fit to standard is a major part of explore phase, and requirement gathering and gap assessment. Of course, at the end of the day, we should be able to have come up with a functional design document before we now go to the realize. What are we realizing? We are realizing what is in the FDD. Realizing is designing the system based on what has been highlighted in the FDD or IDD. Do you remember what IDD is? Maybe I didn't mention it. Integration design document. If there are integration requirements, there's also TDD, which is technical design documents. That's what the technical team does, but it's not for us. So there are a lot of documentations that go into that you finally get out. But the realize phase is a very important phase. That's where we
You also
now come into the
you
system
also
and
sorry,
start
you also
build.
mentioned SDD.
What's SDD?
You also mentioned SDD amongst all the documents.
SDD. It
Yeah,
should be
it says specification.
F
FSD.
FSD,
FSD,
Oh,
not
okay, okay.
SDD.
functional
FSD.
system.
Functional specification document. So these are, you need to note it down because I was in an interview on Thursday or Friday. And one of the questions the lady asked me was, what are some of the project artifacts that you used and how were they used? So project artifacts are documentations that you will either you generated or you supported the business to generate, and how did you use them? So I was able to explain two documents, the BROD and the FST. BROD is business requirement document, which which is a core document that the BA uses when you are trying to understand business requirements. When you gather all your business requirements, you document them inside the business requirement documents. Then of course there's FSD, which is your functional specification document, and there's FDD, your functional design document. So I mentioned some of these documents and I explained two of them in my interview. So it's important that everything I thought, and this is what I did just yesterday on Friday. Can show you the email and all that. But the idea is that why I'm sharing this is Intel, I will say it again. Um, if you're learning SAP, you need to learn SAP as a component, as as a component, as a you have to learn SAP, all the parts that make up that component. Just like a car has different parts. So you need to learn SAP like that, like an architect. So everything that makes up SAP, you need to understand what it is because you cannot say you have successfully configured a system without knowing any documentation. That is a fallacy. You cannot say you have designed or worked on the realize phase without knowing any document. it's it's a taboo. So once a recruiter or somebody who is an interviewer, you're unable to communicate clearly these documentations and tie it with your claim that you have configured the system, you will not get the job. So it's important that you understand processes, documentations, which what we call them artifacts, that was used during your projects. There's a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Depends on where you did your depends on your project and the documents you're exposed to. But there are lots and lots of documents. So these are the really very popular ones. Right. Now we have gone to the release phase or realize phase. In the realize phase, we just bring to life all that we have documented. That's what happens. That's why they call it realize. It's just implementing what the business requirements are, implementing the system based on the business requirements or based on the business goals and the business desires, based on what we have documented. And an example of one of those documents we are going to see, I will not go through all of them, but I've shared them with you. So if you have time, please, you can go through it. But I will just show you how that maps so that it will now you can have a picture of how we use the functional design document. So this is an example of a functional design document. We call it blueprints in the ECC days. But it's just you can see that there's a heading, there is a version that has been approved. You can see the purpose of this document, the distribution of document, those who have knowledge of this document, the steering committee, the business process owner, FI module, the core users, and all that. These are all the major stakeholders. Then you have the introduction that talks about the company, talks about the system. Currently, they were using Tally, which was an accounting system like Sage. Talks about the documents, the sessions. Talk about you have these, so I'm not going to go. There's a vision. There's the stakeholders who are all part of this. There's an organizational structure for finance, which just shows you which will impact how you give access to people, especially those in basis. So you need the organogram to understand who should have access to what within the system. And of course, you have the org structure that is now tied to SAP. So at the very top here, you have the client. Then here you have the company code. This is client or no, this is not client. This is the company. Sorry. This is the company. You can see that it's called the group. This is org structure, not SAP structure. So this is the company. Under the company, you have the company code. So you see why I was explaining the concept of company earlier. Then of course, under company, we have a lot of structures. So if I go back to my stuff and we're now going to go into the system and start putting there. So you have here, that's a structure I had. Let me see where I kept it. Did I remove that? Oh, the structure I had. Must have removed it. So because just on top of here, you should have company code before the enterprise structure. Sure. I removed it. Okay. I'll get back to that. So what we're going to be building is we're going to be starting from here, from our structure. We have clients. Client is client 400, which is our login. We're already logged in. So go here. Sorry, I need to share again. If we go to system and status, we can see the client we are using. So this is a client. Now we have established that this is a client. The next thing we're going to be establishing is the company. You can see in the document, company here is called ABC. Whatever ABC is, I don't know, but we will start with, so there's ABC, company code is ABC, PQR, another company code. So we're going to be doing this, ABC to ABC. ABC Transport Company, let's hope that that's our company code. So company, ABC Transport Group. So just follow me. And please, like I said, just listen and watch. Do not log into your system and work as I'm working. You need to take your time, listen, ask questions, and do it when you have it in your own free time. So let's now go basically and see. We have explained the concept of company in our presentation. I believe I talked about company. We have discussed all those concepts. Yeah. But what we have here is company code. Company is used for group reporting. Just an object that is used for group reporting. That's all you need to know. So all the company codes will report under the group, and the group would give us what the whole group is. So let's say, for example, we have a company, and under the company, we have a company code, which is ABC transport company. This is UK. So let's go to the system in SAP and start designing these structures gradually. Any questions at this point?
No question. No question.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll go to SAP. Remember, all this information you should have in your functional design document. So it's just this structure I'm following. I might not follow everything because it will take us a lot of time. But this is just to give you an idea of how we use the document and how that impacts our design and our configuration. So you go to SAP, and I'll also take you through I'll use T codes as minimal as possible because I want you to understand the system and to navigate the system yourself. I don't want to use T codes and just, if I push out T codes, you will understand the system. And anytime you forget, you're just frustrated. Now, in order for us to start designing the system, there's a structure when we go under tools, because when you want to design something, you use tools. If you want to design a car, or if you want to not just design, if you want, by design, we mean building. So if you want to build a car, you use the equipment, tools, and all that to be able to put those parts together. Imagine you have different parts lying up and down. If you want to assemble those parts, you have to now use tools. So what we're doing now is assembling. We're not SAP, and that's the beauty of SAP. Yeah, the job of a consultant is to assemble things together. You're not. So what you need to know is those parts and how to assemble them. It's as simple as that. SAP is so simple. It's just that the way people teach it, it looks very complicated. But it's so simple that configuration is really about assembling. So if you have a car, for example, you want to assemble a car, you won't get this car in your assembly plant. What you have is the frame, you have the joints, you have the tires, you have the lights, you have the wipers. Then your job is to assemble. That's why in some companies they are called assembly plants. They don't manufacture those parts. They just put them together. So the job of the plant managers, the engineers, is to now bring these parts, put these parts, and put these parts. That will now give, and of course, put the wiper and put the doors. That will now give them the car. The job of a consultant is to bring all the parts that SAP has already given to you. And by those parts, we mean organizational objects. Your job is not so complex, but the challenge is to understand each of those parts. Because as an engineer for this car, if you don't understand how to assemble the tires and the parts that make up the tires, you already failed. If you don't understand the parts that make up the engine, you cannot assemble this car. And that's the challenge consultants have. They don't understand the parts that make up the system. Why? Most of them, when they were learning it, they used T codes. So anything outside that T codes they have learned, they get confused and get disorganized, because SAP is not about bringing codes together. It's an end-to-end journey. It's about understanding the architecture behind the system, understanding the individual LOBs, what we call line of businesses, understand the structures, understand the process, the business processes, understand what the business does as an entity, understand what the functional specification is supposed to do, understand why things are being put into, these certain areas. So that's really what consulting is. And that's why a lot of people find it a little bit difficult, because you need somebody who can explain and make sure that, explain it in as simple as possible, so that you can just put these parts together. At first, you might not know everything, but at least you can be able to explain how these parts come together, as well as, in your free time, you do more research, you read just to build your knowledge. But the key is to give you that foundation that you need to be able to just understand the basics of the system. So, having looked at the FDD, let's now start putting these parts together. The first part we have done. The second part we will do now. And remember the car. As you do your configuration, remember, let the assembling of the car be in your mind. So we go into the system. We go to tools. Now, customizing is building. In configuration, customizing means that we want to build, we want to put things together. Now, under customizing, you go to IMG, which is, the implementation. And you go to SPRO. IMG is where we do the building. It's like our workshop. Then you go to SPRO, which is the plant where we do the actual designing. And when you go to SPRO, which is, now take note that I did not give you T code, but the T code for customizing is called SPRO. So you see that you will still know the T code, but you need to know how to navigate the system. So the first T code you have learned today is the T code for, to go here, you need to go to customizing, which is SPRO. SPRO is the T code we use to begin the building. So SPRO, and it's one T code you will never forget. So you go to SPRO, which is called execute projects, because this is a new project we want to start building. Then you go to the reference. You have project analysis, which we will talk about much later. But right now, of course, it's when you have built project, you can analyze. But right now, let's go to SAP reference ING. Okay. So when you go to reference ING, you see SAP customizing implementation guide. So IMG means implementation guide. So when we went to IMG, it means implementation guide. So it guides you through your implementation journey. That's what IMG does, and it's a best practice tool that SAP has put in place. Now, the beauty of SAP architecture is that it's a robust system, and it has figured out every possible use case by industry and by line of businesses. So let's say, for example, your industry is manufacturing of cars. Now, SAP has two things. It has a line of business that talks about all the business processes that goes into manufacturing cars, and it has a design implementation guide that already has an existing industry called manufacturing in the system. So the idea is that SAP doesn't want you to build from scratch. It wants you to leverage the best practice and the work it has put into giving you a prototype of what you need to do your work. So you don't have to stress yourself starting from scratch. That will lead us into the concept of what we call copying in configuration. Some you will see as we configure, there are some things we don't need to start building from scratch again. We need to copy from an existing company, because building from scratch will probably take us 6 months before we can finish this project. So it is advised that SAP, when SAP designed the system, it puts in prototype configurations that you can copy from. So in the system, you will see SAP's own documentation or his own prototype. You see the one other people have done. You cannot delete the one SAP has put as per standard configuration or best practice, but you can delete the ones that other people like us have created. So it's advised that if you want to build your own structure, having understood the LOB and the industry, you have to select an existing structure within SAP's best practice and copy similar settings. So you save yourself the stress of coding, the stress of writing number ranges and other major elements before you can design your system. It's just a quick way to help consultants and the business to get on with their jobs. Any questions at this point? Okay. So we have come to implementation guide, which is where we do all the configurations. And we have the ABAP platform, which is where the technical team spends most of their time. Maybe technical and business team, maybe. But we are functional consultants, so we stay at the enterprise structure level. So the technical guys stay at the ABAP platform, functional consultants stay at the enterprise structure level. This is, when they say structure, this is the design of the system. Just like you have organizational structure, the MD, the CEO, down to the last person. This is the SAP enterprise, the business structure within SAP. So if you go back to FDD, this structure we have here is what we want to replicate in SAP here. So your first assignment is to set up the structure. And in the structure, we have 3 key elements. I don't know, I think I have that stuff somewhere. Let me see if see. I will come back for that. Okay, let me let that and focus here. I wanted to show you the structure, that was mapped, but we'll come back to that. So in the enterprise structure, you have 3 very important elements. 1 is definition. 2 is assessment, and 3 is consistency check. However, the beauty of SAP is that when it's, it has given us this description, but by the side of the description, you see this document with an eyeglass. It gives you an idea of, if you want more explanation about certain concepts, you can use that eyeglass to see what the definition of that is. So you can read for yourself to help your understanding if you're not also a financier. And this is helpful to all those who are not finance people. Before you go into any configuration object, if you want to read about it and understand it better, you are free to do that using this documentation sign or icon. And you see now that under enterprise structure, if you go to definition, because we have to define the structure. That's the first task. We need to define and set up our structure, and especially structure for finance, not structure for other modules, but structure. So those in other modules will also start at enterprise structure and define their own modules. But these are the core modules that you need to define your enterprise structure for. But we are focusing on finance. Then you click the drop down to open finance, and we will see in definition what structures we need to set up. And at the very top, you have what? Define company, which is exactly what we are trying to do here in our structure here. We're trying to define company. Right. So you have to set up that first. So you go to define company. You will see existing companies already built by other people. Remember, this is a public server. So you will see a lot of companies built by other people. So it is your responsibility to set up your own company. So the first thing you will do after this session is to start creating your own company and creating everything you need for your company. Now, I've seen other people's own. We have in the status bar, we have some icons you will start getting familiar with. This means you need to change. Here means you need to see details. For example, if I select here and go to details, I'll see the details of that thing I selected. If you want to create a new entry, you use the new entry. If you want to copy, if for example, you want to copy this guy and use it for your own, you can use the copy sign. If you want to delete any of these configs or data, you can delete. If you want to go back, which is to change. If you want to select all, you can use all these icons here. If you want to get help with this configuration, you can use the configuration help. It will tell you what this is. So I love SAP because unlike every other ERP I've used, SAP is really the best. I've used Dynamics. I've not got deep into Oracle, but I've used Sage. I've used some very good systems, even other products of SAP. But you see this functionality of just explaining and defining things and helping you learn what you're doing. It's very, very important. And I advise you that your journey has started. If you really want to understand the architecture, you need to be able to use the personal assistant. It's very, very important. That's one thing that SAP, has used to stand out from every other ERP that I've worked with. Now, let's start with creating our own company. But we're not copying, we'll just use new entries. I'll let you know when we need to copy. So in new entries, you're going to see everything is blank. So, we have our company called ABC Transport Company, but we cannot, put all the title here. So even in our company, we need to specify a code. And when you're creating yours, you cannot use ABC like me. You need to find your own company and you create. So for ABC Company UK, I'm going to say ABC UK, which is sorry. Our company is ABC. Sorry. Let me go back again. UK is the company code. So our company is ABC Transport Group. So let me go back. So ABC Transport Group, ABCTG. I come here. Sorry. Transport, ABC Transport Group. If it has another name, you can just say it's also called ABC, not compulsory. Then we can look for, let's say this is my street. I like using the, let's say this group is in the US. Let me change this to the US. I like using the US because I have verified most of the settings. So this group is in the US, and if the other company code, we also have a company within the US. And we have, so group is in the US, then, so let's say the street is in Texas, US, PO box, I can just put whatever I like. Sorry, postcode, sorry guys. I can just put a 6 digits. City, Texas. I don't have all the details. Country, US. Now, if you click on the drop down here, you're going to see the list of all the countries in the world. All the countries have a code. All I needed to do, if you don't know the code, please go in and use countries. I would also advise that because I think most of the I also advise you use either Germany or US when you're testing, when you're in this environment, because most of the demo systems have good settings for these countries and their currencies. So please stay within US and Germany. It will help you even in your config, but you're free to use any country anyways. But just an advice, since we're still using the sandbox, so I advise you use the US or Germany. I've used both of them and they were all good. So use the key US. The language, click the drop down. You will also see English, which is EN. So you select English. Then the currency, you can use USD if you want. So you can use any country, like I said again, but for just an advice, you know, those two countries have robust um, scenarios that have been tested and trusted within the sandbox. But in life, please use the country of your location. So the currency is USD. Now, you can click on enter, or there is a save button just at the top. So if I click on enter, it will tell me now you start understanding errors. And anytime you see a red error on your screen, know it is your fault. It is not the fault of the system. Always know that any error you find is your fault, because users are funny. They will say, oh, the system did this. It's not the system, it is you. So and you must start learning how to read errors. So you see now the error here says postal code must have length 5 or 10 based on the region I've put. So you see, it highlighted the region and it highlighted the error. So, and I've put a 6-digit code here instead of 5 or 10. So what I will do is to reduce this to 5 and enter again. Oh, sorry, it didn't go out. Yeah, so immediately you enter again, you see everything is clear, no errors, everything looks good. Then I go up here and save. So entering is like validating before you save. You enter it to validate first, then you go up here and save. Now, this is also very important. It will bring out a small screen that says prompt for customizing request. Remember, when we talked about transporting configuration from one environment to another, from the QA or from the dev to QA and QA to prod, the functionality you use to do that is what we call customizing request. And the system wants to start now to track all the configs that you're going to be creating for this company code, so that if you want to move your configurations from this environment to the next environment, the system has a record of those configurations. That's why it's called customer. So in your once you save your first work, it will want you to create that path for your own customization. So what do I do? You see there's an existing one there, which is what I was working on. However, I want to create my own for this current company code I've created. So you use the create request. It will bring out a plain blank create request for customizing request. Remember this request ID is automatic, so you don't need to worry yourself, but you need to put a description. So my description is ABC Transport Group. Sorry. Transportation Group. If you're done, you don't need to provide project. The user is there, the source client is there, the date is recorded and everything is there. You click on save. Automatically, it creates a request ID, which is unique to ABC Transportation Group, unique. No other person can have this ID. No other company code can have this ID. So if you want to transport configurations in this company code, the system will require this customizing request ID. So if you're done, when you are mainly this comes, you come here and click on continue. And automatically the data is saved. And you see your company code here is highlighted. So I'm going to open a small Excel sheet, which I will call SAP class configuration file, just to save all my work. So let me go to this project where we are now. I'll save it there for us. Yes. Okay, so I will say here configuration file. Put one here, company code. I might not follow it judiciously, but I'm teaching you company. So I'll start here by teaching you so that you will learn how to also do this yourself. So client 400, company ABCCG, ABC Transportation Group. This is my first config. I've saved it in my configuration file. I've asked one of you to be saving this, but you create your own, and I might ask you for you to show me your config file so that I'm sure you're following. Now, somebody may ask, okay, so we are done with this. Just make sure it's saved. You can save as many times as possible. Saving is not a problem, but when you save, it will show you data is already saved. Then you go back. So when you go back, you're going to see it on the list of other companies. Then you go back again. So use these buttons here, go back, and you are done with defining the company. Now, somebody might want to say, oh, what of the transaction code for this company? How do we need to cram the codes, or what do we do and all that? Because some people are crazy about transaction code. I rarely teach with transaction code because it will not help people understand this architecture behind the system. And for me, that's the best way to train people. Teach them the path, not the shortcuts. So if I want to get the T code for this and just save it in my file, if you come here and right click, not left click, if you have a mouse, sorry, left click, not right click. If you have a mouse, if you right click, it will open this. But if you left click on this icon, this clock-like icon, and select show display technical information, and go to main objects. Now, sometimes if you check on the maintenance object, the last four codes might give you the transaction code, because not all systems have that exact code, as the case may be. So just make sure if you check the documents, this last four code is okay. You go to the attributes, this last four codes is there. Then you go to the main object, this last 4 code is there. Just know that this is the T code for this transaction. Some of them will to be very clear. Some of them you have to read it through the maintenance object. So I'll copy this from here and put it, and I call this transaction code. So your task for me is to provide me this your configuration file. We'll look at it every day when we come into the class. So document all your configuration in this very neat manner so that at the end of the day, you will really, really be very outstanding in the way you have done your work. Now, that's one part. That's the first part of this design we're building. Now, the next thing in our org structure is company code. And we have said that company code basically is used, it's an organizational unit that is used in accounting for external and internal reporting. The company is used for group reporting, while the company is used for group reporting, while the company code is used for internal and external reporting. Because all financial information will first sit in the company code before they are moved up to the company, in quotes, the group. So let's create our company code. The company code we have said here is ABC Company, ATB Transport Company, US. So I'll go back here. If you see here, however, the next thing we have here, I like following it, by that sequence. Like following it sequence by sequence, but not all organizational objects are important for us to set up. But the next thing you have here is what we call the credit control area. Now, the credit control area is an organizational unit that specifies and checks a credit limit for customers. And when you hear the word customers, it should not prompt you to see that this object will be used mostly by the sales and distribution team. So a credit control area can also include more or one or more company codes. So it's just used to check that if you have a credit limit for a customer, let's say you have set a credit limit of 1 million for a customer invoice. Let me explain what that means. So let's say, for example, you have this customer you do business with, and you have set, so this is a customer, and you have set a credit limit. Credit limit means an amount that this man is not expected to owe you. Then you set a credit limit for 1 million. Now, if you set this credit limit in the system, when you want to invoice a customer for more than 1 million or greater than 1 million, let's say 1.1 million, it is this functionality that will check to make sure that that invoice does not go through and the customer stays within that credit limit. So it's a good setup, but we can configure it just to maybe help the SD team, since it's part of financial accounting configuration. It's not in SD. So sometimes this kind of configuration, the SD team will reach out to you to ask if you have set up the credit limit, because although it's a sales and distribution major requirement, but it's within finance. So you need to understand this object and set it up for them, and they can use the credit limit to do what they need to do. So when you understand that as a functional consultant, you're going to be interfacing with a lot of other consultants, because finance is the foundation for where all other modules will sit on. And this is one of those areas where the sales guys will start reaching out to you and ask, did you set up the credit control area? Now, how do we set up the credit control area? Go to this same icon, click on it. You will see credit control area for a lot of other companies. Take note, how do we know the setup that is SAP designed or SAP generated or SAP standard setup? When you see 0001, 0002, 0003, that will give you, that's usually a standard setup by SAP. So you can see this 001. I know because I've been started using it that this is SAP standard setup. And I like copying SAP standard setup. Mostly when I see it in a configuration, I like just copying it because it just saves me the headache of errors sometimes. So let me also teach you how to create something without using new. How do you copy existing configs that you need? Select, say I want to copy this information here. Click the right side to select, then use this copy sign, which is copy as. When you do copy as, you see it opens, some standard information about the credit control area that has already been set up by the system. However, this is my config and I need to make some changes. So what do I do? So my next setup here is credit control area. And I want to say my credit control area should be A, B, C. I don't want to put too many codes because it's going to be very confusing. So leave it at ABC for me. You can use something else. But I try to keep the codes as simple as possible so I don't have to be remembering a lot. So I'll come here. I can use ABC. This is alphanumeric, so you can use numbers, you can use codes. Remember, my company code currency is in USD, so I need to change this to USD. I think every other thing is okay. I can allow all company codes to use it. Please don't make changes to, this is SD, this is sales and distribution calendar. So don't make changes to that. Just change the control area, your currency, enter, hit enter to validate. And automatically it doesn't save yet. So you see ABC has come here, but I want to change the description to control credit area, credit segment, ABC. Why credit segment? Let me just say credit control area. A B C T G. Click on enter to validate, then I save. You see now it has brought up the customization request for me again. So I can either, save this as a new request or just keep saving it into this my standard file. If I go to own request, for example, I will see the setup I have, which is this. So I want to save it inside of this guy. But if I want to create, make it stay different, I can click on create, but that will be a lot of work. So instead of having, multiple configs, just keep adding it into this your configuration that you have done. If you want to save and your configuration does not come up, please go to own request and double click on your configuration. For example, if I double click on CIA, you see CIA will come here and I'll save it in my CIA. But it's not CIA, it's ABC. So I do this and I save it back into ABC. So make sure your short description is your company code and save things inside of your company code. If you save it in another company code, you will not see it for you to transport in real life if you need to do transport. But in real life, there's usually one, so you don't have issues with saving things into things that are not yours. But it's just learning. So say okay. So I've saved my second configuration for credit control area and it's all good. ABC. I go back and I have defined the second original object. The next original object I need to define is company code. So you can see here that we have here company code, but before we did company code, we did credit control area. This was not in the FDD. So so it probably means that the FDD did not, credit control area was not part of the discussion or requirements gathering. So that's why it's important that as consultants, the objects and discuss these objects with the business if they really need this. Now, the next is to set up the company code. To set it up, we use the option check, copy, delete, check company code. Click on it. Then you see here, check, copy, delete. So you see company code you cannot create. Sorry. Because I have some stuff. So company code, you cannot create a new one. You have to copy, delete, or check it. If I go to copy, I'll just click the line. It will ask me, which company code do I want to copy? And this is very important. Like I told you that SAP already has predefined codes in their servers that you can copy from that best suits the kind of business you want. And this is an example. So they don't want you to create a new one because they feel that, well, number one, this is a sandbox, and number two, we're a little bit limited. And number three, it's good that we copy something that is already existing. So it saves us the time and the stress of building things from scratch, things we will still need. So to copy company codes, go to this object here, go to copy. Then it will ask you, what company code do you want to copy from? So you need to click this drop down. Now you see SAP standard company codes. Most likely you will see them as 1000 because I know them. Many people have written, created stuff. So this is SAP standard, but it's for Germany. There's also 2000 here. This is not this should be SAP standard. So it has been eroded because this is a public server, even 5000. So if you check, I need a company code that has a city that is linked to the US. So there's one I've built. I think you guys will also see it once you go. Is that we copy that SAP standard one, or let me show you the one you can use. So I need one that is, so you can see USDs. So please guys, if you can copy this guy, this was copied from standard SAP, although the code is different. So if you can copy KHSN or any other US based one, but I can't vouch for these guys because this one was created by other people. So just target copying this or any other SAP standard code that you can find. But it has all been eroded by now. But I know, let me see, show you another standard code. They all have numbers. You will see, there's that one, it's a GPP. This is it. Let me see if there's another 00. Should be it. So for the one, I know this is SAP standard, but it's UK. So let's go to, so for the sake of this, let's use KHSN. It's a US-based company code, a US-based currency, and I believe it's also US-based company code. It was copied from the original US we had. So use this in real life scenario. The only thing you will see here is SAP standards. And based on the currency, based on the country, you can copy. But this is a public server, so all that has been, people have messed it up or messed up with it. So, but I know this because I also copied based on the existing US code. So select KHSN, which is the company code you want to copy from. Then put your own company code that you want us to use. So again, our company code, we need to define it. Company code is ABC Transport Company UK. So let's say ABC, let's say ABC UK. It's easier to remember. ABC UK. This is our company. Okay, sorry. Why did I create this? Okay. So ABC UK is our company code. Okay. Now, so ABC UK is my company code. So let me go here. I say I want to copy from this to this to ABC UK. Oh, 4 digits. Sorry, guys. ABCU is company code, that is 5. ABCU is my company code. I didn't see that. So ABCU, say okay. Now, when I click on copy, it will ask me some questions. It's important to understand them. Now it says, only copy the GL accounts if you want to allocate the same chart of accounts to the target company as to the source company. Now it's telling you that KHSN, so let me note it down here. Copied from company code KHSN. So company code KHSN already has chart of accounts that has been designed for the company. So the system is asking you, do you want to copy that same chart of accounts that has been created for KHSN? My response is no, because I want us to also create our own chart of accounts. So I don't want us to copy chart of accounts. If I copy chart of accounts, it will be super easy for us to just finish this class, maybe, because creating chart of accounts is a lot of work. It's some work, and I like you to do those. I would like you to get your hands dirty with those work. So I won't copy. So I will say no for GL accounts code data. So do you want to copy GL accounts company code data? No. Take note. Now, controlling area for the controlling area for KHSN is KHSC is assigned. Do you want to copy controlling area? No. Don't want to copy controlling area. The reference company code has a local currency USD. Do you want to allocate a different currency? No, I don't want to. I want USD as a currency, so it's fine. Certain data was not copied, which is okay. And say okay. It's okay. Now this is number range. Because I didn't copy chart of accounts, I didn't copy a controlling area. It was telling me some inconsistency, which is fine because I didn't copy everything. However, number range is very important. I want it to copy all the number ranges and addresses for KHSN because it will save me a lot of time. Number range are numbers that track the documents you create. For example, if you go and buy something from a vendor, there's normally an invoice number on that document. It's the same thing as number range. For every document you create in SAP, there's a number, a unique number that is tied to that document so that we can trace it and track it. That is what we call number range. And I want the system to copy all the number ranges because it will save me a lot of time. Creating number ranges is not time useful. So it's better the system does that for us. So I say, okay, do you really want to transport number ranges? Yes. I say yes to that. And it will take some time. If you look here, based on the speed of your internet and the server, to take some time. So let me wait for that and see it happens. It's copying all the tables for address and all the data. Quite fast. So again, it wants me to save this customizing request in my company. So I say, okay. Again, if you want to save this differently, like save it as a config, different config altogether. So somebody might say, okay, because these things I'm saving, they are being coded to just one line. But if I want to see different lines of what I'm doing, I can create another one and I'll show you how that is done. So if I want to create this number range I have done, I want to see it as a different line so that I can transport it differently. Because if I keep saving inside this ABC group, if I transport, I will transport everything. But if I create different transport requests, I can choose to transport number range and choose not to transport something else. So it depends on the structure of how the config. But best practice is that you create different objects so that you can transport them individually. But if you want, but if you cannot do that, you can put everything in one file. Please, Michael, please, can you mute your mic? Thank you. Please, if you want, so you can create different configuration objects and transport them one after the other, or just have one universal one that has all the configuration inside. So, but I want to show you how to do the second part, which is if you want to have all your configs listed. For me, it's for learning sake. I would say just put them inside one, but if you want to also do that differently, it's up to you. So if I want, I've just done config for number range. I want to create it differently. So I'll go to create here. I'll call this ABC transport group, then underscore number range configuration. And I'll say okay. And I'll save. So number range has a different configuration from the group. So if I want to transport only number range, I can now see number range and transport. So it depends on the structure, how you want your configuration to slide. I would advise, since you're learning, just put everything inside one, but best practice is that you create them individually so you can transport and manage them individually, but that will take a lot of space. So just clicking OK. When you try to save, it will be bringing out these options, tables and fields that are impacted. Just click. There is no cancel here. Just keep clicking OK or good. So it's telling us that this number range will be transported. Say OK. See, it has changed. The object will be These are all tables. Okay. LOC is here. It will change again to something else. So this is another table. We want it to be transported. Okay. And this is another table. Yes. Say yes. And say yes again. So company code, this is copied to ABCU, which is fine. So I have this, it's done, and go back. Now we have developed 4 structures. The company the credit control area, 3, and the company code. Now, I want to edit the data I've copied. Some things I need to change, or I can check. So go to edit company code data. Find your company. It's either you scroll down here and start looking one after the other, or you go to position and put your company code ABCU. ABCU. So you see, ABCU has the company code description we copied, so we need to change that. So it's either you select this and use this change icon, or you just double click on this. If I do this, let me check. ABCU. Just double click on this. It opens up, then use this and edit. So it will open up for you to edit. Then you change this to ABC Transport Company UK. The city is fine, the country is fine, the currency is fine, this is fine. So I like that. Just say save. Then you see it's going to number range. I don't want it to go to number range. I want it to go back to my company configuration. Now I can create another one, but I don't have that time. So I'll go to own request. See the two we have now. So I'm going to select my group company that I've been working on, and I say okay. I want everything to just enter here. So I've saved that, and I'll go back. And if I want to see my company is at the top, because of course it's starting with the letter A, so it's probably one of the top. But if you don't see it, go to position and say ABCU and say okay. It will spell it out. And if you want to access it, double click on it. If you want to change, use this change sign. Then again, let's see the address detail that has been copied for this guy. So if you go to that icon here, if you go to this small icon, you're going to see address. Click address, make sure the address is correct and the company is correct. So the company is not correct. So let me just copy this, go to address, paste it, change the country. You need to change this, don't forget. The time is not correct. Time zone should be somewhere in the US. If we have anything in the US here, can select. And, who knows the US time zone? Mike, what's your time zone? Is it UTC or CST? Okay. CST, right? Dallas is fine. Then check, put the PO box if you want, the postal code. Fine, everything. Check the language, the phone number. Please put all these things. Now remember, all this information will be given to us by the business. Remember. So provide all this and say okay and save. Awesome. So we have edited the data we copied, and these are all good. Then we close. So we have done 3 objects now, which is very interesting. Any questions at this point? So we'll go for a very brief break and be back. When we come back, we're going to try and finish all other objects we have. And okay, go ahead, Anayo. Or do we wait? Let's come back. Let's just give me 5 minutes. Just type your question or keep it somewhere. We'll come back at exactly, my time is 2 It's exactly 2:35, so just add 5 minutes. Then I'm going to pick up your question. Thank you very much.